All right, welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of lesson 7 in our geometry unit. Okay, so let's look at the directions here. We're going to do some practical examples. It says determine the measure of each of the labeled angles given that line M and N are parallel. Let's look at this. So if we look at this, notice on this thing, I'm only giving you two angle measurements, this 52-degree angle and this 44-degree angle. And you might be thinking, Mr. Millard, there's no way I'm going to be able to figure out all these other angle measurements. But the truth is, yes, you can, because we know line M and N are parallel. So therefore, these two lines that are going through line M and M, those are transversals. And so we can use the rules for corresponding angles, alternating interior angles, and alternating exterior angles to figure out all of these measurements. So for example, let's start here with this angle. It's 52 degrees. So we know this angle is 52 degrees. Well, from here all the way to here, that has to be 180 degrees. Therefore, we know that if we subtract 52 from 180, we're going to get I, which would be 128 degrees. Now that we know that this is 128, because of corresponding, we also know this one will be 128. And if this is 52, this one that's diagonal must also be 52. Okay? We know that's going to be true. Now, the other thing we know over here, if this angle is 44 degrees, again, from here to here, that must equal 180. So we subtract 44 from 180, we get 136. And then from there, we know that this one will be 44, is diagonal, and this one will be 136, okay? Now, what else can we take from this? Well, let's go back to this one. So we have these two parallel lines, and we have this transversal. So based on what we know up here, we're going to be able to determine things down here. If this angle here, this angle measurement here, if that is 52 degrees, then that means this angle, number 13 down here, is also 52 degrees. And therefore, this angle is 52 degrees. And therefore, these angles are both 128. Okay, very, very simple to determine that. Now, same thing here. This line is a transversal. And if we know these values, then that means it's going to match with these values. So this angle measurement here is 44 degrees. So we know number 12 is 44 degrees. Therefore, we know 15 is 44 degrees. And we know that the other two are 136. Okay, we know that based on those. Now, let's talk about the stuff in the middle here. This is where you have to get a little more creative. Well, the stuff in the middle, these angles are going to be completely different than any of the angles we have up here or down here. But notice we have triangles, okay? This triangle has a measurement 44, 52. What's the third? Well, all three of these numbers must add up to 180 degrees. So if we take 52 plus 44, subtract that from 180, we get 84 degrees. Across from it, this is also 84 degrees. And again, we know that because we got 52, 44, just like we do down here. Now, if this is 84, again, we know that from here to here, that must equal 180 degrees. So we take 84 from 180, we know that this is 96, and also this is 96. So really, if we just apply some logic and reasoning, some simple logic and reasoning, using what we know about corresponding angles, alternating interior angles, and alternating exterior angles, we can find, even though we only knew two angles in this whole thing, as long as it's the two angles that, give us enough information, we can go through and find the rest of these values.